is removed. What do you do to remove the fuel tank? Well, you need to go over on the other side and take all of those screws off too. Same deal, except you got this dangling off the end, because you don't need to take those two screws out. That is your fuel tank mount. There's things you got to do before you go yarding this apart though. Electrical connector is here. That will be disconnected. The fuel lines are here. This one is not equipped with quick disconnects, so you need some way to pinch these fuel lines off, because you will lose the contents of this tank. You're not going to be able to plug the lines. They'll be leaking. So we'll pinch these off, loosen the screws. There's a special tool to separate the rubber hose off of the plastic tube that it rides over. But before we do any of that, we need to go back to this side, because you need to unbolt the oddments tray, now radio box, from the tank. There is a screw way down in here that I'll show you after it's apart. It's not installed right now. And a 5mm. 3mm. And a 4mm. Because these aren't right. Those two should be the same. Oh no, this one gets the bigger one because of the snorkel. That's right. You can disconnect the wire if you like. There's a nut right here. Probably the only time you'll ever use an 11mm. This is not normally so difficult. This is not an original panel, so it makes getting this damn little nut a bit harder. Goes right there. See? Fits through the hole. Hole fits over the stud. Stud pokes through the hole. Let's take this fuel tank off, eh? A few things we'll need. You're going to want to clamp these fuel hoses. You could use this type of clamp or this type of clamp. You could use vice grips, but if you're going to use vice grips, locking pliers, you're going to damage the fuel hose. So you want something with a soft face. If you have to use vice grips, put a piece of leather or duct tape over the jaws so you don't damage the hose. You can get by with just crimping one hose. Screwdriver, flat blade screwdriver. You only need to loosen. You do not need to remove these clamps. Just loosen. Hose side, tube side. See where the hose, the tube turns to go toward to the air box? Stick your finger in that bend. Now you take the tool, make sure you have tube side to tube and hose to hose, and put it against the hose side. And squeeze. Same on the bottom. Disconnect our electrical connector. Now at that point where we remove the fuel tank. Straighten the handlebars. Lift the back. Slide the tank back a little bit. You might need to finagle some of these out of the way here, of course. Get your hoses out from behind the right throttle cable. Just like me. Wow! And then these are heavy, of course, especially full of fuel. What's next? Drain the tank. Drain the tank and we take a peek and see what's inside. Clean vino bottle. Really only concerned with the top one. Look okay if it was a urine sample. It smells like gasoline. Maybe we'll get lucky. I'm gonna put a connector on here and a hose and run this into a fuel can. Now that we know what this looks like. Next, we take the pump plate off. Notice this cutout? It's circular except for this cutout. There's a nub, a raised nub right here. It's been painted red. That's where that flat goes to. That way your pump and pickup are situated in the proper position. 4mm. Remove the clamp at the bottom. Six here on the pump plate. Before we can take this pump plate out, we are going to have to disconnect these two vent hoses that are on the inside. You'll see that in a moment. Now we can lift the pump plate up. I have to make another one. See here? Oh, look at that. It's in wonderful condition. Isn't that nice to see? Looky here. We have to undo these two clamps. For that, I'm going to use a pick. You're going to put the pick in. Slide in here. See, I can't see. And then lever this way. And that opens that up. Use a pick to coax the hose away. Why aren't you cooperating? This is the problem here. There we go. Sometimes it just needs a little assistance. There's an electrical connector here. Right here. Need to squeeze the tabs together. It's a good job for that pick. Especially on this side, because you can't get to both sides at the same time, you know. Do I have enough room? I don't have enough room here. And now, carefully lift this out. This has a screen on the end of the pump and a float next to the filter. Here's our screen and the float. You don't want to bend the float. It will mess up your fuel level indication. Look at this. Look at the amazing condition this is in. 8 years this bike's been sitting around. Isn't that a wonderful sight? Sitting around for 8 years?